Oh, I guess it worked. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coffee and Ham Radios. We're glad to have you here. Hey, Jim. What's up, buddy? Not Jim, not Jim, but Jim.
Oh,
Not Gene.
well, hey, Abe, how are you? I'm fine. Thank
Just
you.
fine. We have an esteemed guest tonight, Hamstick Eric.
I'm not a guest.
Maybe a round of applause for Hamstick would be awesome. And before we start the interrogation of Hamstick Eric, did anybody have any topics that they wanted to bring up or mention or crow about or promote or any of that stuff?
I was just looking at the
phone's ringing real
Maxpedition.
quick. Hey, Kyle.
I was just looking at the Maxpedition
morning?
spot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I gotta go.
Flex?
Thanks. I'll be there. Yeah. So, guys, my mom's in the hospital, and I won't be able to make Saturday morning show.
Right.
You got some flexing to do.
It seemed like Kyle always recruiting
He
Jim
is.
over here to go on his channel to talk about flex
Sniping.
stuff.
That's right. It's headhunting.
And I have to pay him a visit, have him explain himself.
Right.
So
I
I think go ahead.
I was going to say, I was at the Maxpedition site here looking for a new hat for you because your wife called me and says your hat is like nasty.
It's time for
But I
an
came.
upgrade.
I don't think they even sell hats anymore.
They don't.
But you've seen him without the hat on. He's better.
It's better with the hat. It is.
Even
Well,
that
he's
hat. Yep.
Kind of scary when he showed up at Hamvention in his work costume. I was like, oh my God, what is that?
That
I
was
really
his,
This way, sir.
recognized him.
that was his.
I thought he was
sleeping
the house
pants.
dick or
He had his
something. I
tactical
didn't know what
pants
he
on, man.
was.
I probably did have tactical pants on.
Wait,
'cause
didn't
He
you have a
did.
My Little
You were
Pony
tactical
shirt
on the bottom and business on top, son.
I thought at Hamvention he had a My Little Pony shirt on.
He was in the wolf costume for half the day.
No, I don't think it was a My Little Pony shirt. I don't remember exactly what shirt I had on, but it was probably had my Old English malt liquor shirt on. Was probably the one that I was wearing.
Smelled like Old English. I don't know.
Mickey's
Colt
It might have
45,
been. It might have
maybe.
been Mickey's that I was wearing.
rocking your Balmer heritage.
Yeah. When I was a young man, you could get a 32 ouncer. We called them a Trey Deuce of Mickey's malt liquor for 99 cents. It was
Trey
the
Deuce.
best deal in town.
Colt 45 was the big thing up in Kankakee.
Was it?
Colt 45 and 2 zigzags.
It works every time. I remember when I was a kid, the Colt 45 came out with the Cool Shot. It was the menthol flavored Colt 45, and that was everybody's like,
Never
I need to get me a
imbibed.
Cool Shot.
What?
Cannot imagine
You
menthol
talk
malt
about
liquor.
Jason's beer, dude. Come on.
Yeah,
Men-
yeah, it's something
menthol malt liquor and a pack of Newports. Wow.
Woo! Talk about
You're
a
going to
hangover
smell
the
great
next
at your
day.
death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're talking
Yeah.
about Steel Reserve 811. Yeah, that stuff that's a beverage for sure.
So
I didn't know we were
Taylor,
going to have a malt liquor night night on Coffee and Ham Radio.
Anybody remember Zima? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember everybody trying to figure out what it was because they're like, it says it's a malt. So is this malt liquor or is this beer? Is this beer? But it's like almost had like a Sprite taste to it, right?
I don't know. I never drank one ever.
I don't think
Jim-
I was old enough to drink it.
Jim never
I
went
wasn't.
to a
I
party
wasn't
in his
either.
life. Yeah, me neither.
I did. We drank beer, usually Miller or Miller Lite. Yes.
Yeah, official beer NASCAR. All right, so we got Hamstick Eric, and he does all kinds of amateur radio stuff. And I was chatting with him, and we were talking about this thing called a green cube. And admittedly, I'm not even 100% sure what that is. You wanna tell us a little bit about it, Eric?
Sure. So I like doing all things radio. The harder, the better. And doing satellites from Hawaii is pretty hard because most of the satellites have a low Earth orbit, so they don't have a big enough footprint for it to be worthwhile in Hawaii. There's a couple of linear satellites that are up just high enough to reach the Midwest on good passes. But then about a year ago, last summer, the Italian Space Agency, along with Sapienza University in Rome, created Green Cube, which is a CubeSat that has a garden in it, and they're growing plants in space. And they were ever so kind to put a digipeater on the satellite. And they have allowed hams to use the digipeater, and it's in medium Earth orbit. So it's got about it's 5,800 kilometers in orbit, so it's got about a 13,000 kilometer footprint. So from here in Hawaii, at the edges of the passes, I can just reach most of Europe. So it's a great satellite for anyone looking to do some satellite DXing.
So that'll cover the entire United States, then, is what you're saying.
Yep, absolutely. Green Cube
I'm
right
trying to
now
calculate 13,000 clicks into real digital English American units in my head. Like 6,000, 8,000 miles, something like that. 9.
something like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to do the maths.
Yeah, we don't
Right.
have
So
on
that's-
stream.
That's higher up than the space station, right? Because that's
Yes.
lower. That's
Yep.
what they call low Earth orbit, which isn't actually space. So I don't know why they don't call it the low Earth orbit station.
I think it is in space. It's past the
Because Leos would get mad.
the Kármán
Right.
line.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
the
sensitive.
the radiation deal.
So the Kármán line, I think, is what is it, 100 kilometers up, and the ISS orbits between 370 and 460 kilometers up. So it's well into low Earth orbit.
Gotcha. But that still sounds like it's not space to me. But what do I know? I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. So the nice thing with it, instead of being 300 kilometers, with it being close to 6,000, is not only do you get a good footprint, but you also get a pretty long satellite pass. So it's visible for about 60 to 70 minutes.
Oh, wow. Now, what's
Yeah,
one of the, like the AOs or the Oscars? Those are like, what, 10 or 12 minutes, aren't they? They're fairly short.
Yeah, most of them are around 10. The higher ones, I haven't done a lot of work on those. 10, 15 minutes sounds about right.
Yeah.
I only get to play on the lower Earth orbit satellites when I'm back on the mainland.
Not a lot of them come within, put the footprint over Hawaii.
They'll fly over Hawaii.
There's nothing you
There's-
can reach because of gotcha.
So I have a few contacts with the Tevel satellites, and then like SO50, but I'm barely making it to California, Washington, and Oregon. So on the one pass that I worked someone on, one of the Tevel birds, we had all of 30 seconds worth of overlap to make the contact.
Wow. So with this green cube, what exactly do you do with that thing, right? So you're saying it's a digipeater on there, so you're obviously not doing any voice. So is it all like APRS, or what are you doing?
It's similar to APRS. I believe it's running AX25 protocol, so it's packet. So it's UHF packet, 435 megahertz. You basically use the terminal program. Karsten Gran over in Europe created a really great interface for you to interface with the satellite. So you can see all the people that are currently transmitting, and you can basically keyboard to keyboard message.
So it's like texting.
Exactly.
Only way more complicated and ultimately more cooler.
I could
But
use
you're
a
also
cell phone
supposed
for
to-
that. Come on.
You're also supposed to be able to download the telemetry data from the greenhouse, right?
Yes. It does broadcast the telemetry on the same downlink frequency. And there is a program to decode it, but I haven't been interested enough in the actual telemetry itself to look at the data.
Hey, Andy, hopefully she's watching Expedition Bigfoot. I love that series. They're in season 4 right now. It's fantastic.
Oh my Lord.
Dude, they use lots of RF technologies when they're hunting these big feet, just so you know.
Do you believe the Bigfoot lives in Texarkana?
No, I think he's a little bit further north, and I think he's a little bit further west. But
Wasn't
think
there
there's
some
more
kind
than
of
one.
Bigfoot thing in Texarkana back in the 70s?
well, if you go to the
was a
Bigfoot
movie
Research
about it or
Project,
something.
or maybe it's the Bigfoot Mapping Project, you can see most of the reported Bigfoot sightings, along with any links to evidence that they may have of the actual sighting.
So not really much on that page then.
No, there's tons of stuff on it. So the one thing is they constantly find these hair samples, right? And they test them for DNA, and they say there's DNA in this hair sample, but it's not any type of DNA that we have in our database. So it's from an animal that we don't know about. and they'll say it's similar to chimpanzees or something like that, but they're like, well, they can't prove it's a Bigfoot because we can't compare it to any known Bigfoot DNA.
And nobody's ever seen Bigfoot and ape in the same room at the same time.
Right. Right.
true.
We do have some
True
pictures
story.
on the Discord, though.
Right.
Actually, they're
I've met Ape in person. He wasn't that tall though.
No, he's
No.
just descendant, like 4 generations removed.
right. Well, the thing is that I've been eating the processed foods that they feed Americans, so I didn't
Right.
grow to my natural genetic height.
So you're saying
because
you're
of-
not descended. You haven't descended.
I suppose. So, how big is the green cube that's floating around up in there? I imagine it's got some size to it if it's growing plants in there.
It's actually what they consider a 3U CubeSat. So it's 30 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. So it's not that big.
So,
So
the
when they say
normal
they're-
1U size is like the typical CubeSat, and then this would be 3 times that size. Is what you're saying.
They're basically 3 of them stacked on top of each other.
So it's
and I believe-
rectangular.
2 of them are dedicated, I believe, for the actual science project, and then 1 is for the communications and batteries and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, what are they growing in that thing? Like algae or something like that?
Weed.
I have some
ain't enough space.
documentation.
Weed.
Do you have some samples?
It's
We're going to the documents here.
yeah, it's a closed cycle hydroponic system. I'm not quite sure. It
So
says
it's
that
like
it's
that-
micro vegetables.
So it's like that terrarium project I did in 6th grade for science.
No, this
class.
one's successful.
Mine grew
damn.
fungus or something.
Fungus. So, let's see
Tim,
this
it's good to see you back
documentation,
in your
Eric.
work
Aren't you,
uniform.
are you going to share or are you going to be self?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can. Where'd it go?
Weed.
And you're saying
You
this
said
is
that like
all
90
this
times,
is,
Jim.
This is all UHF communication.
Yes, it's 435 megahertz.
So 435 is that that's experimental frequencies or what is that?
No, it's in
Hold
the
up.
70 centimeter handband.
Hold on.
I
Snoop
have
Dogg
to- I have
is
to pull
off
up
the
my-
weed? What?
His
My
Yeah, they
world.
said that.
My
just
world is
read that.
gone.
His
Tell
family
me that
asked him
Willie
to quit.
Nelson is not partaking either of the devil's lettuce. The world is going to stop turning.
Well, I guess it's the new Hollywood
Oh,
trend, right?
it's not illegal anymore, so it there's no
Can't be-
there's no
can't be an
stigma.
outlaw.
Can't be an
Yeah.
outlaw, right?
Yeah, and I'm an in-law.
And you can't write songs about smoking fentanyl, so I don't think that'll be next.
Right, so they're just not as popular.
Fentanyl doesn't rhyme with anything.
So where's this
Wait till
documentation?
Snoop gets a hold of it.
I pasted it in the chat, and then it didn't work.
Can you?
Yeah, you can't do
you
links
can
in the public chat.
Yeah, you can share your screen though, son.
Oh, we don't do that here.
Oh, so you got to pass the link over to.
I got it.
Yeah, my
Look at
computer
you with your
is,
old Model M keyboard.
Is it locked down?
Model
the
M.
Navy's
What
got
are you
locked
talking
down.
about?
I heard the
I
click
got
was
it
locked
talking to
down.
You
you.
want me to share this screen, Eric? I just pasted it in the chat. You want me to share
Sure.
it?
Yeah, pull it up. James.
That is the SAT NO page about it, and then I'll send another one for the actual
Well, that
S5
link
Labs
didn't
page.
exactly work, Chief.
What?
That's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
So the second link should work.
Womp womp womp.
It's like I'm watching Clubhouse over here.
All right, so just put IO117 up in the search bar. On search bar on the
Oh,
SAT.
I see what it's doing. It's putting extra characters in the.
Like I'm sitting here playing cards with my brother's kids or something. You know,
Exactly.
sons of bitches.
There we go. The other one, I can probably get the other one to work too. This StreamYard is adding extra characters to the end of it.
Yeah, I did that the other day too.
I don't know. It's like pasted in, opens in a new tab after the link.
The actual words in
Yes.
the URL. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are we looking at here?
So that's the homepage for the S5 Lab. S5 Labs is the organization that is in charge of Green Cube, and they're on
This-
Twitter as well.
These guys
it-
here, the ASI.
No, it's S5 Lab, Sierra 5.
Okay.
So they're responsive on Twitter. So they'll post if there's problems with the digipeater. They'll let people know when they're going to send texts in to go. Like if the satellite not crashes like physically, but like if they need to reboot it or anything like that.
How'd you
So-
learn about this thing? Because I'd never really heard about it.
It's
So-
been all over the news, Abe. Come on.
Yeah,
I
I don't watch
learned
the
this
news.
about this specific satellite from the folks at AMSAT in Dayton.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had this on the show once before.
Oh, it looks
I've
like you're
talked
in the
about it
past
5 or
right
6
now,
times.
Eric.
The green cube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure because I knew about it.
No, you didn't.
Well,
Stop.
hell.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
It's because you saw
What's
it
his
on
name?
Tech Minds.
What's his
That's
name?
probably
on our show.
Is that
The
its
satellite
current
guy.
location?
The satellite guy.
yeah.
It might be.
That look, there's Eric right there. And
Yeah, you
there's
should,
the
try to,
next-
you should try to make a QSO
Yep, there he
real
is.
quick.
So I have a antenna limitation where I live, so I don't have a permanent setup. So I would have to go outside and then not be on the stream.
Okay.
That's
An
uh,
okay.
antenna limitation. That's what
We'll
they
wait.
call it. Huh?
Yeah.
You got a cell
It is an
phone, son?
HOA.
Chip chop.
HOA.
No, it's like a HOA, but the government
BOQ?
owns my house. So
Oh,
So this is the other link that Eric posted.
So yeah,
Go on
the
and
other
plus it up.
aspect is in Hawaii, if you're not incredibly wealthy, you're going to have a very small yard. So I have about 150 square feet of backyard. So
150 is, oh man, that's more than I
So-
had growing up.
yeah, it's about 15 by 16 or so.
his was
We
all on a
lived in
hill.
a shoebox.
Yeah, that's a tight fit. There's not much space to work with there.
Yeah, and I've got my two HF receive antennas in the backyard. So there's trees back there. So I usually set up in a park.
No, this
Are
is
you
supposed
using
to be
that loop
sharing
on
the
the ground
telemetry
thing
with
that
me,
Don
but I don't
loves?
see any.
Yeah, so I have the loop on the ground, and then I also have a Chameleon RX receive loop as well.
Don't worry, Jim. Nobody at home seeing it either.
Yeah, we don't see your codes.
Yeah, what are we looking at now?
I have no
Well, I
idea.
was trying
you
to
get into
pull up
Jim's
the telemetry,
back
but
door to Jim's computer.
it's not showing anything.
Oh, you're looking at Falcon Sat 3.
Yeah, I know.
For Christ's sake, Jim.
Yeah, let me call that gal.
So when you're going to go out and you're going to
Please.
point something at this particular thing, what are you taking out there? What kind of equipment do you use?
Oh, sorry, I lost you for a second. My internet did an internet thing.
All right, this
So I was asking
sucks.
you when you go out and you try to track this thing down and you're pointing at it. Can you tell us a little bit about the equipment that you use, and if you have any pics, that would be wonderful.
Sure. I can probably. I sent you a bunch on Discord.
Yes, you did.
So I use most of the time. I'll use a 15 or a 10 element UHF Yagi. The more elements that you can use, the better, because the satellite is incredibly far away, and it's only, I believe it's only 1 watt transmitter that's on there. So I like to use the 15 element diamond antenna, the ICOM 9700, and then a laptop. And then on the laptop, there's a couple of pieces of software. I use it's UZ7 Hotel Oscars sound modem. So if you've done APRS on your computer or some of the WinLink packet on a computer, you're probably familiar with his sound modem software.
Yeah.
And then Karsten in, I'm going to totally get his country wrong. His call sign's Oscar Zulu 9 Alpha Alpha Romeo. I believe that's Denmark or the Netherlands. It's one of the two. Geography is not, don't geography on stream. So he built a companion program that goes along with the sound modem software. And that has all the, it'll tell you where to point. So it'll download what they call Keplerian elements or TLE, 2-line elements. And it has all the orbital information. And since it knows the orbital information, you put in your grid square and it knows what time it is, it'll figure out where in the sky the satellite is. And then you just look And so like when the satellite's directly overhead, it'll tell me to point, whatever azimuth and then elevation of 90 degrees. And then I point the satellite that direction and hopefully you hear it.
Well, thank you, Don. He's been a member for 18 months.
Yeah, thanks, Don.
In
Look at that,
spite
you
of
get
our
stars and
hijinks,
stripes there.
thank you, Don.
I think Don.
Me. It's not me.
Sometimes
had
I
a
think Jim does that to himself just for the attention.
No,
I do too.
My
So
hand's
he's got
never
something to
left my
Don
complain
wrist.
just had a
about.
preliminary intro to his preliminary intro.
Very preliminary.
And then we got another one. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Awesome, awesome.
I can't believe
All right, so
Andy
then the
didn't do
computer
19.
tells the antenna where to point, and it points over at this thing, and then you're good to go. Now, you said you're using a 9700, but then you mentioned the transmitter has 1 watt output. So what exactly do you mean by that?
Okay. So actually, before we get into the transmitter, a lot of people also use a rotator as well, like the Yaesu G5500. I just don't use one most of the time because I'm portable and it's just a lot of extra gear to set up. But if
not
you have a
very light
rotator,
either.
like you're living that good life.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the satellite I believe is only 1 watt, but most people are using 9700s. You can use a Yaesu 991A. There's some people using flex radios with transverters, but the 9700 is the go-to.
Now, how much power do you use when you're on your 9700 talking to
So
this
the
thing?
goal is to use the minimal amount of
Yeah.
power possible.
Of course.
Like 1 or
so-
2 watts?
I've tested it out. I can get down to 0% power, which is less than 1 watt.
Okay.
I believe it's like probably 500 or 600 milliwatts. When there's no one else on the satellite, as you know, there's a lot of water surrounding Hawaii.
Right.
So,
You live
when
in a
it's-
ground plane, son. That's right.
yeah. So when it's directly overhead, there's not many people in view. So I'll lower the power down as far as I'll go. Usually not down that low, because you start running into issues where you have to be much more accurate with where you're pointed.
Right.
But there are times, let's say when Europe is just beginning in the footprint and Japan is in the footprint and the mainland US is in the footprint, there'll be people pushing 100% power on the 9700 and they won't get their packets through. It'll just be a lot of congestion, and
Right.
it's unfortunate because there is an effort to try and help reduce that. But a lot of it comes down to managing traffic and being respectful of everyone on the satellite.
The
Andy
being
Cowley,
respectful part people struggle with.
thank
Yeah.
you for being a member for 18 months. Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Andy
So-
is awesome. And we also have Jeff, who's been a member for 7 months.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
All right, Jeff.
Appreciate it.
Jeff has not attended a members only meeting. So we're going
Shame
to have
on
a
you,
chat about that, Jeff.
There are standards to being a member.
Yes.
I mean, membership has its privileges, but we also expect
did-
some things of you.
Did we get them all? There's Andy, Jeff, and yeah, we got
Yeah.
'em.
So,
Yeah, that was it.
For now.
So, Eric, you said so.
Yeah, one of the examples of how you can be respectful on the satellite is paying attention to like on Carson's program, it'll show you the angle at which like how many degrees of elevation someone is at. So, and you can also look like on your phone at the footprint. So, for example, when the satellite's going from Australia up to the U.S., there's only a few minutes where the people in Australia have a chance to make contacts with people in the U.S. So what I'll do, and then other people do, is I'll just stop transmitting. I won't talk to, because I've
That's
already made
cool.
the contacts with the people in Australia because we have a mutual footprint that lasts longer. So I won't transmit or call CQ until the people in Australia and New Zealand have had a chance to work as many people as they can and they're out of the footprint, because that way it reduces the amount of traffic that's on the satellite and helps ensure that they get to share. And then as soon as they're out of the footprint, I might call CQ and then start working the people on the US. And then as the satellite transitions north and starts to get in view of Europe, I hope that the people that see that, oh, I'm at 2 degrees elevation here in Hawaii, and let's say I've gone up to the North Shore so I can work all the way down to 0 degrees. I just hope that they do the same thing for me, and let me try and work the stations in Europe, because there's a lot of people in Europe who are trying to reach Hawaii, and it's some of the people like Northern Italy, we may only have 45 seconds to make a contact.
Yeah.
So if I can't call them and them call me back and get a valid QSO, if people are just hammering the satellite over and over and over again, it just makes it hard for anyone to talk.
Yeah, hey, Eric, I had to interrupt you for 1 second. Sandy Wallace is asking us in capital font if we would please stop playing the damn trumpet. He has to keep turning the volume down as people are trying to sleep. Go in the other room, son. And, the simple answer is no, we're not going to stop playing it. Jim, why don't you hit that trumpet for us, buddy?
Thank you, Jason Jenkins, for becoming a member. Okay.
Jason,
Yeah,
are
I
you
mean,
on the
so-
Toads Discord with us?
So, Eric, so you're trying not to be that guy that calls the
That
POTA
guy.
guy. As he's trying to say 73 to the last contact, huh? That's what
Wait, say that again?
I've been doing a lot of POTA hunting lately, and guys are calling the activator
yeah.
as he's saying 73 to the guy that
He
he's
hasn't
just
even
talking.
quit
Oh, yeah.
talking yet. And,
I'm
and
like,
the
oh my
jackasses
God,
are
guys.
keying up.
What they don't understand is he can't hear you when he's talking, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe,
And then
maybe
there's
they're
the
new to
guy-
radio.
Or there's
So-
the guy
I don't
who
know.
waits until everybody quits calling CQ, and then he gets on and calls CQ real loud
While
and
the guy's
slow.
contacting back.
Sometimes that's a problem with the activator. Sometimes it's a problem with the hunters. So like
Yes.
for POTA activators, you need to be consistent. Talk to the people the same way and make it so someone who's hunting you knows when you're ready for the next contact.
Right.
Because, and then you also have to make sure that you take the hunters a certain way. Like if I call a QRZ and a hunter comes out, and let's say I'm like, all right, hey, Kilo Mike, there's a Kilo Mike 9 station. And
That's me.
someone says Whiskey Victor 1 Tango, right?
Right.
I'm not gonna respond to Jim because
not
I didn't
me.
call for Jim.
That's not
So,
me.
and wait, Whiskey Tango. I'm sorry,
One
Jim.
whiskey.
Yeah,
It's all right, buddy. I don't remember yours
That's close.
either.
You
I
were
just
close.
know Hamstick
Yeah.
Eric. I could recognize your voice.
yeah. So
Hey, hang on a second. Ed, a member
Sandy, turn
for
it down.
17 months. Turn it down, Sandy. Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
a
the
lot of
trumpets
that
are
kind of
way just
stuff.
celebrating, right? We're celebrating.
I was just kind
our-
of joking.
our membership, and so it's just sorry about that, but the trumpets are going to keep going. And so, like Travis was saying, there's always cat videos you can watch.
We're going
I
to
was,
have new trumpets soon.
Are you working on
I was gonna.
I am.
I tried to get a guy in Bermuda today, and the guys that he was actually kind of bringing it onto himself. He would answer the guy that would wait till everybody was almost done and then put his call sign out, and he'd answer that guy. So he encouraged that. A good operator. But the problem was you didn't know he's talking. Sometimes they were talking right over the guy when he's coming back to whoever he heard, so you couldn't even tell who he heard. I mean, I guess those people seemed to, but
yeah.
I wasn't getting in there. So
Once you start having big
was
pileups,
paying
I
a-
think the
yeah,
one of the general rules is respect your hunters and don't let anyone disrespect your other hunters.
right.
So, if I hear someone and I'm calling Smoke and Ape back, I'm not gonna.
It's the end of the world because he doesn't have a call sign that you know.
Oh,
of.
it's no. I actually
Yes.
I saw
I did a
his
video
call
of it.
sign. It was Sierra Mike 0 Kilo Alpha Papa Echo. Like I didn't realize that Smoking Ape is in Sweden.
Right.
Yeah.
He seems
Yes.
totally Swedish. You look at that beard, you just know he's a Swede.
We can't get that in other parts of the world. But the thing is that people go nuts when they think that they're going to get a contact, right? Because they're going to run back and tell their old lady, and then maybe they'll pay attention.
And she's
to them
not
or
gonna
something
care.
like that. She's not going to care, and I just don't understand why people get so berserk over trying to make it. I get it's exciting, but to make a contact, at the expense of being rude to other people who are trying to do the exact same thing, it's kind of unhamely, right?
And there's I can't remember the name of the paradox, but there's one of the general rules is like if you encourage bad behavior, like sometimes what's good for the group is actually best for the individual as well. So maintaining an orderly pileup will actually get through people faster. But if everyone's
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
all over each other, you can't talk to anybody. So,
I think the thing I've seen too is, and you just kind of touched on it, consistent behavior from the activator. Because I've been listening, like I've been doing a lot of POTA hunting on weekends the past 3 months. That's all I do almost now. And I'll hear activators who will finish a call, then they don't say QRZ. It's just dead air for a minute or for a couple seconds. I'm like, okay, are you just gonna wait? Are you breathing? Did you
well,
get
and some of it
sip
you
a
have
drink
to-
or what?
I think some people when they sound on the air, they sound a little scared sometimes.
Well, they probably. I mean, I'm sure they probably are. The new people,
So,
sure.
And here's a free lesson for you for ham radio. If you don't sound cool on the air, why are you
You're
even
one of
doing
us.
it? Well, no.
Right.
Why are you in ham radio?
You ever hear a pilot? Like they sound cool on the air, right? Just they're never coming over the announcing system and they're like
3,000 feet right now.
excuse me, guys, but we're flying at 36,000 feet, and I
Right.
hope you're having a. No, like.
Did you ever hear a
gotta be
firefighter
cool,
on the
man.
radio yelling? Mm-mm. Nope.
Yeah. So like,
Same thing.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes
we
you
have
get
some,
you get so many people that you can't even understand one person. So then you just have to let's try that again.
I've heard
so
that.
what you
I've
can
heard
do
that
just
happen.
if your pileup is getting
crazy.
too big, just turn the power down. Right? If they can't hear you, they can't call you.
Oh, they still will.
But working a pileup is it's definitely a learned skill.
Man, I tried to work you one day on a pileup, and for some reason, you were shooting right over top of me. And that's usually you're pretty easy for me in Hawaii.
Yeah,
but
I was probably on 10
that night
meters.
you had. I don't remember. I think it was 20. It could have been 10, but you were hitting everybody like East Coast almost that day. It was crazy.
Yeah,
So I
usually
didn't-
when I'm on 10 or 15, I don't get as many California. But when I go to 20 meters, I get like a nice even distribution.
So I do have some of your pictures ready. So here we go.
There we go.
And that's a fake background, everybody.
That's
That's one of the
fake
ones at the
background,
mall
yeah.
that you pull down on the screen. But can you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
All right, so that is over on the windward side of Oahu. So right on the beach there, as far on the western or eastern side as you can get. And I'm working RS-44 in that picture. So I sometimes like to go over on that side of the island on the low passes, maybe 10 degrees off the horizon, because that way I can get into the Midwest. And I like to try and time it so I can do like maybe a RS-44 pass and then a green cube pass without having to drive home. And
Now, what radio are you using here, Eric? You're not carrying a 9700 out there, are you?
yeah, it's in the backpack.
Okay. That is dedication, son. That is awesome.
Yeah, I put the 9700 in the backpack just to keep
Okay.
some of the ocean spray and the sand
Yeah.
off of it.
And what size battery you running that whole op with?
I think that was a 12 amp that day, or 12 amp
or
hour
20?
Bio-NO.
Okay.
So
I do have one of Dennis's batteries waiting for me in Wisconsin.
So why are you using the 9700? I know you said it was a popular one, but why?
So on this satellite that I'm doing, this one's not green cube. So this one is RS-44. So you uplink on 2 meters and downlink at the same time on 70 centimeters. And
Yep.
you don't technically need a radio that can receive and transmit at the same time. But I say that is, technically you don't need it, but it makes it a
hella
lot
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you're transmitting, if you can't hear your own downlink, how do you know you're pointed at the bird, or
Right.
if you need to angle it to adjust for polarization? Right. So, and then you can also, on the linear sats, your downlink might actually be a couple of kilohertz off, so you can adjust your RIT on the radio. So that way, it makes it a lot easier if you can hear yourself coming back.
So a lot of people are talking about the 9700 having a frequency tracking function. Is that true? Or do you need something
Yes.
The
extra?
drift. The drift
So,
just follows everything.
There
around.
is a satellite
Chuck, we're not
mode
talking
on the
about
radio.
Yaesu.
No, the 9700 is known for it, and you know it.
So there's a satellite
Maybe they
mode on the
fixed it.
radio where as you're adjusting the VFO for one band, it'll also adjust the other for Doppler shift.
Nice.
But I don't use it. So when I use RS-44, I use a device called the CSN Technologies Satbox. So I'll just connect via Wi-Fi with my phone, tell it the satellite I want to do it, and it knows with GPS where I'm at and the satellite info, and it'll automatically control Doppler shift for me. So I don't have to I just point at the satellite, press the button.
That's excellent.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've done that with Ham Radio Deluxe because it'll drive the radio and to account
And then-
for Doppler as the bird moves too. Yeah.
On Green Cube, I'll either use that box or I'll use PST rotator to control for Doppler.
Doc Bradley, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
So this is that CSN Technology sat box you were talking about?
Oh, that's
Thanks,
cool
Brad.
looking.
Yep, and so that device specifically works with ICOM radios that have the quarter or eighth inch CIV port. So the 9700, and then there's a couple of older radios.
706 has it, yeah.
And then I believe they're working on a version that will Bluetooth to the 705.
Nice.
But the 705 is only half duplex.
So, Jim, you're going to have to order that, buddy.
Before the show's over.
Right.
Yep. And
Good.
Already in this cart.
so I don't think I listed the 705 for Green Cube, but you can also use the 705 for Green Cube as well.
So you could use your 705 and a Fang to listen on the downlink or something like that.
Yeah, for FM satellites you can. Not for the linear
Right.
birds because those are going to run upper
Right, it
sideband
won't-
and lower sideband.
yeah. Now, that was my question, and you just hit it. So are the linear birds either or, lower, upper, or they stick
No,
to a
so-
specific sideband?
You'll transmit on one sideband, and if it's an inverting satellite, you'll listen on the other sideband.
Okay.
So I can't remember what RS-44 is, if it's upper sideband transmit or if it's lower sideband transmit, but you'll use the opposite sideband for receive.
Now, they're not all
right.
invert. Go ahead.
I was going to say, there we got the 9700 sitting on the foldable table, right?
Yep. And
10
that is
elements?
another RS-44 pass, but that pass was going to be a little bit lower, so I brought out the Alaskan Arrow. So that
It's
is
a
like the
super
other
arrow.
antenna. Yeah, it's she's a heavy antenna.
I was going to say, that
10
looks
and
like you're
4.
going to blow out your O-ring toting that thing around.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And what are they?
So you,
the Crocs you're wearing there?
Those are
Yeah,
tactical
so-
Crocs.
Tactical.
no, you
See
can
the
you can make fun of me for
camouflage?
the Crocs, but I went to the beach one time without wearing shoes, and I sliced my foot open on a volcanic rock. So
Oh.
I wear the Crocs at the beach now.
And that looks like the little power controller there from Buddy. The Buddy, what is it? The Buddy Pole Power Mini.
Yep.
Power Mini, yep.
So I like to use that. There's a 23 amp hour battery there. The Buddy Pole Power Mini 2 has a USB port, and that's how I'm powering the CSN box on top of the radio.
Nice.
Gotcha. And then what is that tablet sitting on the wall there?
So that is my iPad. So I just had GoSat Watch running, and that was telling me where where the satellite was and where the footprint was.
Gotcha.
And I noticed you're wearing I don't know if people have worked at the beach, but headset's like one of the best things you can use there because it's so noisy.
Yeah. Well, and because when you're full duplex, if your radio is blaring loud, it's going to pick up your receive and transmit it back into the satellite, and you'll get like a weird loop.
Ken is asking, would the Quansheng be able to listen to upper sideband with the new patch firmware? I have no idea.
Yeah, you'd want to talk to our buddy Hayden over at Ham Radio DX. He'd have the
I was
answer
going to
for
say,
you.
he's played with all that a bunch.
Yeah, I think it's got sideband receive through the whole spectrum that it can receive on. So I think the answer to that is yes, but I'm not 100%.
That's where I was on it. Now, what is that antenna you're using, Eric? Because that looks a lot bigger than an arrow, but it looks like an arrow.
It's the Alaskan arrow.
That's the Alaskan
arrow.
So it's got more gain.
Okay.
And you can actually use that antenna. If you take off the 2-meter elements, there's 10 UHF elements, and you can use that on GreenCube as well. So I use that satellite, or like when I go home for Christmas or the New Year's later this year, I'm going to bring my Alaskan arrow and use that for GreenCube.
Okay.
Because the 15 element with a solid boom, it's not going to fit in my luggage.
Oh, it's a solid
I didn't
boom.
realize they had that. Okay. I didn't know if that was something you had rigged up. I have an arrow, but I bought it 3 years ago. I haven't.
Yeah,
Put it together yet.
the standard arrow is absolutely great for the FM satellites and the linear satellites. It just doesn't have enough gain to work GreenCube reliably.
Okay.
So I think about 10 elements is the minimum that I would recommend for UHF for GreenCube.
How much gain does that rascal have? 9, 12, something like that?
I don't think Arrow releases their gain figures.
Okay.
So, and this is that diamond 15 element antenna working GreenCube. So this photo here, I went camping over on the beach. So I spent the entire weekend, and the goal was to just to try and work as many people and give out Hawaii to as many people as possible. So I would take naps between passes, and then at
You don't
3
look
in the
too
morning,
happy. You don't look too happy or enthusiastic in this picture, Eric.
I was really tired.
You're like, I'm ready to be done with this stuff.
Yeah, I think that was Sunday morning. It was, it was. I think it might have been 5:30, 6 in the morning.
Ooh.
Now,
So
our buddy K6 Egg, old Greg in California, wants to know: can you POTA with SATs?
You
Yes.
can, but I'll give you the caveat of do not operate satellites for POTA like you operate POTA. If you want to operate satellites, do as the satellite operators do. If you're going to call CQ satellite or CQ POTA and take up an entire 12-minute pass calling
You will be
CQ
hated.
POTA, yeah, the satellite community will not be pleased with you. So you have to understand that during that pass, you have to share it with everybody. So I usually try to set up when I'm doing satellites in a POTA park, and usually nobody knows. And then I just upload the log.
Okay.
So like this photo here.
Stealth satellite POTA. You are a witch, sir. That
the
is
other
awesome.
the other aspect is a lot of the POTA hunters aren't going to, like, if you spot yourself on POTA saying satellite pass, by the time they get out and the pass is already over, and then a lot of the satellite people aren't also POTA people. So I just operate satellites the way satellite people do, and then upload to POTA when I'm done.
Now you
what
can
is
make
that?
10 contacts on the satellite as it passes, but don't do like you said. Don't do the call CQ and give out park numbers. Just do your 10 contacts and make your log and move on with your life.
And then when you're doing it, like, even if you don't call CQ POTA, like, you still have to share the bird with everybody.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of satellite POTA that you're going to want to do is the satellite community is very, very into Logbook of the World. So make sure you have an accurate grid and that you give out that grid and upload to Logbook of the World. I think I'm at like 95% confirmations on satellite contacts on Logbook of the World.
Tell me
'cause
about
there's-
this stand you have here.
Okay. So that is a cheap Amazon speaker stand. I think it was like $30.
Wow.
And then
That's not expensive enough for Jim.
The connection between the antenna is actually RAM mounts.
Okay.
And then
I thought it was maybe a C stand for lights and stuff for photography, but I wasn't sure what it was.
yeah, it's a speaker stand, so it's a little more heavy duty.
Okay.
And then you'll see that I actually have another RAM mount that's not connected to anything.
Right.
So because I operate portable, I'm bringing the antenna out all the time. And where that is where the two halves of the antenna joined together was getting a little weak. So I just clamped another RAM mount on there to give it some stability. But since I took the photo, I have I went to Home Depot and I got a wooden dowel and I put it down the center of the boom and drilled out some holes, and now it's rock steady.
So it does
Now,
have
are
a
you
two-piece.
duplexing? Are you using the duplexer with that antenna?
With this antenna, no. Green Cube is simplex. But when I'm using the arrow on FM birds or linear
You have
birds,
the duplexer.
sometimes. So with the 9700, no. Because the 9700 has a 2 meter and a 70 centimeter antenna port. I just run
Right.
2 coax.
Okay.
But if I'm using like my ICOM 2730, or if I'm using the D72 radio, then I do use the duplexer.
Oh, you have a D72 also? Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Fancy pants.
He is. And you guys, you guys think I'm fancy. This man,
Well,
9700 and a D72 unobtainium.
Eric
People
is a
were
real
saying-
ham.
People were saying, "Oh, get the Waxin radio. It's full duplex, and get that." So I bought the Waxin radio. It's full duplex, but it doesn't work.
Oh, damn.
The 70 centimeters will desense when you transmit on 2 meters. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna spend the $400 and buy a D72 on eBay. And I found a seller who had one that was in great condition.
$400 is a pretty good price for a D72. I thought they were selling for more
I think
like
I
6
bought
or
mine
7.
for $350.
Okay.
350.
I think I got a really good deal on it.
So what you're saying is the Waxoon doesn't have the full frontal duplex you're looking for.
Yeah, like it's duplex, but it's gonna receive a bunch of noise because the filtering isn't good
It's
enough.
shite. It's not Scottish.
You could buy
is
one of
what
those
they're
filters
saying.
for it, right? Just get a filter for it.
So I tried. I used like a
just
Comet duplexer, and then there's a couple other ones, but instead of putting band-aids on it, I've changed to the buy once, cry once method. Just
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up with the good stuff eventually. I'm gonna save money and just buy the good stuff to start.
Well, it looks like you're spending some serious cash on gear here. I'm not trying to count your paper, but
Hey, don't get it
He is.
twisted. I don't have a lot of money. I'm just irresponsible.
Because he has all this gear.
Ladies, he's
Maurice,
single.
Maurice Austin, thank you very much for the $5 super chat.
Yeah, thanks, Maurice.
And apparently T.O. has
he
inspired
had to suffer
him
through. He had to suffer through To's video.
Right. I mean,
thank you, Maurice.
Those are long.
And it still works.
Maurice,
And-
you're a
And
rock
his
star.
radio still works. Is that what you're saying, Chuck?
Yeah,
looks
it
like it's
still
the
works.
same deal,
He didn't
right?
brick it.
Right.
So yeah, this is
There's a little
an-
Macintosh he's got on there.
This is an updated. So this is I have the wooden boom in this version of the antenna now, and then that little white box is an LNA, low noise amplifier, or a preamp. So what that does is it gets 12 volts from the 9700, and it boosts your receive signal without adding a lot of noise, and it makes it easier to decode.
Yeah, so there's a relay in that thing. So when you transmit, it shuts the LNA off, right? And then that way the LNA is always on when you're not transmitting.
There is, but the 9700 will also cut the power when you key up. So you'll actually
that
hear
just
it click
uses like
off.
a bias voltage on the outside of the coax, like on the shield, on the shield.
I'm not sure the specifics how it works. I just know how to press the buttons on the radio to make it work.
Gotcha.
How long is the
pretty
boom on that thing?
The boom, I want to say it's maybe 7 feet, 8 feet. It's pretty tall. And then another item of note is you can see the coax. That's some thick boy coax. So because you're pushing
Yeah.
70 centimeters, the main line here is LMR 400. And then the other one is just a short run. So I'm using Ultraflex 7, which is a little bit lossier than the LMR, but I've got the preamp on there to boost it back up.
Right.
That Ultraflex 7 is Mezzi and Poloni, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell by the connectors on that.
Look at him. He just said he's irresponsible and he doesn't have that much money, and he's pimping M&P coax on his satellite.
The M&P
setup.
coax was the cheap coax.
Yeah, he's got his Italian. He got Italian
Yeah, it's
coax
only
on
3 feet
there.
long.
LMR 400
The,
RAM mounts.
No, the
From Italy.
M&P the M&P coax was the more affordable one. 25 feet of times microflex times
Times microwave. Yeah.
25 feet I think was like $130 for that coax.
So I take it this is your pride and joy antenna. This is the one that you like the most.
No, it's just easiest to take good photos of.
Got you.
But yeah, this is
I think
this
your
is the-
background helps a lot, Eric. I mean, damn, son.
I don't know.
Those are just
GQ will know how it
postcards, man.
works.
Like he says he's broke, but he's sitting there living the life on the Hawaiian beaches wearing
Right.
Crocs,
The salt
15
life.
element Yagis. He's got a 7.
Somebody's
He's
probably
got a
don't
portable
even have a real job. He's probably a
portable
beach bum.
9700.
Actually, that 15 element antenna is less than $100.
Yeah, they're
Now
not.
everybody get your credit cards
They're
out.
not super
Oh,
expensive.
Yeah, 'cause it's a-
don't
it's a
worry,
diamond,
you
you
can't
said?
buy one. They are unobtainium right now because everyone's
they?
trying to get on Green Cube. So you can get the 10 element; they're in stock. But yeah, the Diamond A430 S15 is just out of stock everywhere. So if anyone knows a good place to get one in stock, you let me know because I need a backup in case.
Two is one, right?
Yeah, I heard of a ham that went on a rove and he had a truck run over his antenna. So
Yuck.
And I believe this is our last picture of the bunch.
yeah.
Picture.
So what
So
is
this
that?
was actually
What's that mountain in the background?
that range. Asking me geography questions. It's not the
Damn,
Kulau range. That's
15.
on
It's a
the other
small
side.
island. Come on.
Yeah, but Hawaiian pronunciations are really hard for me.
I think.
How many years you been there now?
About 18 months.
This tour.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be staying here, so we'll.
And remember the cardinal rule: don't add or subtract to the population of the island while you're there.
I mean that they didn't teach me that rule, so I don't know.
Uh-oh.
He's a ham. He's already doubled the population.
Yeah,
Are you seeing these antennas on the beach he's working with?
I didn't.
Right, that's
I didn't send
like
you the
catnip.
picture.
It's just
Those
like
are
catnip.
big magnets. I mean, geez.
There was one where I went on a camping trip just so I could, like I was on the beach and the goal was to work as many stations in Europe as I could. And I got there and everyone had these really big tents. And so I posted a thing on my Facebook. I was like, I may have the littlest antenna or the littlest tent, but I have the most gain on my antenna. So, Yeah. A little bit of innuendo there.
Yeah, that was the last pick that I got. So thanks for sending those over. They're certainly very cool. So when you're not chasing the green cube or the other birds, what kind of amateur radio stuff do you do?
A little bit of everything. I'm getting some like weird thing on my face.
Sunlight coming
Still
in.
daytime
Yeah.
over there? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called sun from the blind.
I hadn't seen this
Yeah,
in a
so
while.
I've been chasing a lot of DX recently. Trying to get a
Rainy.
fill out more of my logbook of the world. So I'm at 140 DX entities right now since I signed up for logbook of the world in April. And
If you get all the DXCC entities, that makes it a contest, right?
I'm okay with that.
That's their rationale for POTA.
Well, POTA's got points.
Yeah, I mean, I have thoughts. on
What do you
Coda.
call WAS?
That's not really points though, right? Because I mean, you don't get
Field days
points.
got
Get hand
points. That's
paper
not a
for it, son.
contest.
You get hand
Field
paper.
day's a contest.
So POTA's not a contest until it is a contest.
Like one time a year?
Yeah, I mean, I just got my plaque from the POTA contest in the mail, or not a contest. activity.
for the contest that's not a contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying Jim's nemesis, the sun.
Jim, your sound effects aren't coming through here.
Okay.
They stutter.
I don't know what's
Yeah,
up with that.
I didn't hear them either.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been doing a lot of POTA lately, so it's.
What equipment are you taking out when you're POTA-ing?
Well, I mean, you should know this, Ape. I use your favorite antenna.
Boy, I knew that.
does,
I was playing
The
coy
ham
with
stick.
you.
It was
you know?
it was a prompt.
Yeah, no. Despite the name, I don't use ham sticks.
That's right.
So I am not sponsored, but I do enjoy the Coffee and Ham Radios linked dipole. And then I
that?
also have the
You
random
customized
wire.
yours, right?
Oh, you do have the random wire. How you liking that one?
Okay, so there was a DXpedition to Swains Island recently, right?
Yes.
And they're 2,400 miles away from me. And my antenna at my house can only do 10 through 40. But they had such a good signal. I was like, let me take this 41-foot random wire out with the G90. And I think I sent you a photo of it. I threw it over one branch that was 8 feet up. And then on the other side, it was maybe 15, 20 feet up. And I was able to work Swains on 60, 80, and 160 meters.
Nice.
At
Yeah, you told us
2,400 miles.
160. That's amazing.
I mean, to be fair, it was a DXpedition. They had some really good antennas and no noise. But I didn't think I'd be able to get them on 80, but I literally called them maybe twice, and they responded and gave me a good signal report. So I thought, worst that could happen is I waste a little bit of time trying them on 160, and it worked.
Well, that antenna is really short for 160.
And I was only pushing 15 watts.
That one worked.
So I could only get 15 watts out of the
That's my dog,
G90 on 160. So
I think my dog's dying here.
Nice. Is that what you typically use as a G90 when you're doing POTA, or is that just a
no,
grab and go?
I am typically using the 7300.
So you go with the full 100 watts when you're going out there.
An ICOM stack QRO.
Yeah, I like the 7300 a lot for POTA. And then if I'm doing anything where I have to hike a little bit, I've done only a couple summits here in Hawaii. But some of the parks you kind of have to hike into, so I'll bring my 705.
Now, when you do the 705 POTA, are you just running 20 watts? Or are you
10
carrying
watts.
an amp with you? 10 watts
just 10
or
watts.
whatever. I don't have one. I'm like one of the only people in YouTube that doesn't have one.
No, I just run 10 watts.
He's not jealous though.
So I'll get a lot fewer QSOs, of course. But having a good antenna setup, goes a long way. So get a dipole up as high as you can get it. And
When we got our
I'll go out for
QSO,
an hour.
I was on a 706 on a random wire end fed here. What do you remember when that was? What you were probably using?
It was probably the 7300 and the car link dipole.
Yeah,
That's
I
kinda
thought
my
you had.
standard
I thought
go-to.
you were using the car
Nice.
end fed.
Yeah. No, I
Nice,
don't.
Jody.
I actually don't have the NFED. The NFED
He
house.
said
You
linked.
said you used a car antenna, and this was like a year ago or so.
Yeah, that was the dipole.
We make 3, Jim. Remember?
Jody's
the link
asking the
dipole.
serious
That's
questions.
right.
He wants to know if you ran into Magnum and Higgins in the park.
I run into a lot of
the-
chickens and a lot of
Oh, yeah. Chickens
what's
are everywhere.
What's the term now? Unhoused or unhomed people.
The unhoused.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds
Unhomed
like a
people.
band.
Yeah, I saw a thing on the news last night that was talking about the homeless problem in Hawaii. And they were saying that it is going up and up and up and up and up. And it's a huge problem.
Do they
because
fish?
People go there and they think they're going to be on easy street, like eating mangoes and coconuts and stuff like that. And it's just not the case.
They could eat chickens, let me tell you. They're everywhere. Maybe they're sacred over there, though.
I like
Oops.
chicken.
Sorry, my internet
Chicken
cut out
is-
again. I'm
chicken
on
is
now.
good.
Oh,
The series of tubes to get out here is quite far.
Probably full of cat hair too.
Yeah, so there's I didn't catch anything other than you said you saw something on the news.
It was about the homeless problem in Hawaii and about how a lot of people are just migrating out there thinking that it's a great place to be homeless and they can eat mangoes and coconuts and all that stuff. And it's just not the case. It's actually, they're all saying if they could afford to go back to the States, they would.
Yeah, I try and Yeah, I feel bad for them.
The fire is still burning out there too, right? Is there still wildfire problem?
So there was the one in Maui a couple months ago, and then we had one here on this island. But they were able to put that one out before it threatened any homes.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I started packing up some of my stuff when I woke up one morning, and it smelled like smoke, and there was a little bit of ash in my car.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been through one wildfire in California, and I was like, nope, not again. I'm gonna pack up my stuff.
They're saying to ask you about the chicken guy.
The check guy, not the chicken
The
guy.
chicken guy.
He reposted chicken guy there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Greg came out here and we did some POTA, and there was a guy cooking chicken for probably 2 hours. He was cooking this chicken and just mean mugging us the entire time.
He didn't share the chicken?
No. He probably didn't like my spirited aloha when I called CQ the first time.
He found it offensive, huh?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried stacking your antennas instead of going longer? Just stack a couple.
I haven't. I don't have multiples of the same antenna.
Yeah, just wondering.
So what I'd like to do is get another one of those 15 elements, and then I'll mount one vertical polarized and one horizontal and put a switch. Because right now, sometimes the signal will fade out, and then I have to go adjust the polarization.
So I was talking to the guy one time I was just out calling CQ on 2 meter, and the guy from M Squared Antennas, Mike, said if you turn it at 45, you don't lose much, and it'll do both. Try that sometime, maybe.
But at the same
You
time,
lose a little bit.
You could actually be on the wrong 45 though. So the satellites doesn't have like thrusters and everything to maintain attitude control. So it's tumbling through space, rotating slowly. So you kind of got to find what polarization it's at, and it'll change throughout the pass. It may change,
Right.
a couple of times. So you just kind of, what I do is I'll loosen up the little RAM mount, and then I'll turn up the volume on the radio, and I'll adjust it until I hear, like you can hear when it's good. And I'll point where it should be, and then just kind of go by ear.
Yeah, those RAM mounts are awesome for stuff like that. I use them in my Jeep. I have an iPad and my radio head is mounted in there on RAM mounts, and I've got a RAM mount for my phone too. I love it. Well, we're starting to get to the end. Did we have anything else we wanted to cover, boys?
I don't know.
Just a quick thing that we still have sticker packs available, and the price on those is going down to $9 a piece whenever I get around to updating the website. So that would make a great stocking stuffer this festive holiday
It's our
season.
Black Friday sale is the stickers on sale. Because our antennas are already the cheapest price in town.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
gotta figure it. We have our Black Friday sale year round.
It's
put out-
always Black Friday here at Coffee and Ham Radio.
I will say that I don't know if I mentioned this. The reason why I like your antennas so much isn't because they perform any different than any other dipole or any other whatever. I like the fact.
But they do. They really do, though. But go ahead.
I like the fact that it's going to a group of people. It's my way of supporting your guys' mission.
Thanks, man. We totally
Thank you,
appreciate
brother.
it.
So it's
Appreciate
a good winder, and I'd rather give the money to a bunch of dudes making enjoyable content on the internet than, big ham radio.
Right. Big Ham Radio's killing ham radio.
Big Ham.
Right.
It is.
That's right. We've got a super chat from Tom
Mack.
Mack.
Mac.
I thought it was Big Tom.
$4.99. Thank you for
Also-
streaming, Tom.
And if
Thanks.
And I'm
anyone
feeling
is watching,
Randall has been a member for 12 months, and somebody else said more trumpet.
Scott.
We need cowbells, Steve. We
Scott,
need
too.
cowbells.
I
I'm
will
thinking.
I will get the band on that. I was feeling generous. I was going to give Scott his own trumpets.
if
Okay,
anyone
you've
out
got-
there
Just
is
got a trumpet.
if anyone out there is in Maine and you want to get on Green Cube, you let me know. I'm good on QRZ. I am 2 states away from worked all states, and I need someone in Maine.
Oh.
You know, 705 will work, and you will be a very popular person because a lot of people need Maine.
Well, there you go. You'll be the bee's knees if you do that.
Scott, this one's for you.
Taylor is
Sat pack.
deployed. Well, actually, he's not officially deployed. He's a contractor, but he's deployed. Have you messed with the M2 Sat Pack? Have you ever looked at that, Eric?
The Leo pack. I
See,
have
there's a
not
Sat pack
personally.
here. No, it's
haven't
different.
seen-
This is the Sat pack's different.
Okay. I have not used it because I don't have a permanent system at home. Like the M squared antennas are typically 2 separate antennas, a UHF
Right.
and a VHF.
Right.
So that's too big for me to handhold or put on.
Holy moly!
Oh, that one. So those, the egg beaters. Okay. Yeah, those
Taylor
will
beat
be
me.
good for like the UH or the FM satellites.
The FM Sats, yeah. That's probably what I'm going to end up putting here, because with that you don't really need
You don't need to move.
rotator and-
Yeah, you don't need a
there's no-
rotator with those.
Right.
You just ordered that, didn't you, Jim?
No.
2 of
Sorry,
them.
But
One for the
I don't-
shop and one for my house.
I got what
I
Taylor was saying.
have
So.
one public service
Right.
announcement before the end of the show that I want to get in. As you know, Eric is a military member and I'm a veteran. My wife got me this recently, like it came today. It's a Yeti cup. But this is sponsored by the Folded Flag
Oh, nice.
Foundation, which is a scholarship foundation for the spouses and children of either vets who were either service members who were killed in action or disabled in action, and it provides scholarships to their children and or spouses. And I'm all about
Nice.
anything wounded warrior, these guys, anything that supports U.S. veterans and active duty service members. So.
And Nick, we can get that on the Yeti website.
Yeah, this is available on Yeti, and this is like a custom edition. You notice it's this gold color instead
Old.
of
And we're not
yeah.
sponsored either. So
Yeah, we're not sponsored. I'm just sharing this because I have a bully pulpit to share it on. So, but the Folded Flag, I think it's Folded Flag, and I think it's Folded Flag Foundation. I can't remember the exact name.
Jason's asking if it's Folds of Honor. Is that ring a bell?
That may be it. That may be it. I think that's it.
But you'll see it on Yeti's website.
Yeah, because
It'll be fairly
that's,
obvious.
and that's their logo. So
Nice.
which
The
is
folded
the folded flag. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I need to finish off some of my mugs. I have a laser next to me and probably 15 mugs. Or
Son,
Yeti cups that haven't-
I use that awesome coaster every day at work.
Awesome.
I got it right here. Mine's right here.
I don't care about my desk here at home. I just don't want my boss yelling at me because my soda sweats on this table.
I made one with just a calibration on it. So this is the one that I use.
man.
You know, I didn't want to spend the extra $2 to use another coaster. So I used it to tell the speed and burn percentage. So that's my coaster.
Nice.
Nice.
And we have another super chat, and we do need to wind this up, boys. But trumpet. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
Scott. Thank you.
Jim must be going his flex thing next. Is there a flex thing
No.
tonight, Jim?
I don't
okay.
know. I'm not on all of them.
It's an hour-long show, and we're 9 minutes.
You know,
guys-
Eric has a flex too. I mean, I'm just saying,
That's
I
fine.
don't mean to flex, but I have a flex.
right?
But he
I
didn't.
mean,
He
we're
didn't
flex
talk about it
bros.
all stream.
We're
He didn't-
flex
he-
bros.
Yeah, he didn't talk about it all.
He
stream.
stayed on topic
I stayed on topic on another channel,
on the Flex channel
on the Flex channel,
by
also
not
known
saying
as
anything.
also known
not
as
saying anything.
AA0Z. I don't know why Kyle. I mean, Kyle's a great guy, and so is Mike Walker. But I was like, why am I here? You guys don't need me on this thing. I need to go pee. I'm old.
I thought
And
about
speaking
renting
of
out
needing
my
to go
flex.
pee, it's probably past Ape's bathroom.
Yeah, renting it
scheduled
out
bathroom
probably make
break.
some good money doing that.
Yeah, like I go to the POTA park and someone pays me to use my radio at my house.
Right?
To
In
work you.
Hawaii, you know.
All right, I'm
But
hitting
you
the
don't have
button.
any
Thanks for
decent
watching,
antennas.
everybody. Thanks for everybody participating in chat, and then mostly thanks to Hamstick Eric for being here tonight.
Thanks for
And,
having me. Aloha.
Awesome.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, I hit the button, so